All right, it's early. We're up. We're going to do a show. Good morning. All right. Good morning. Good morning. So, I was thinking about stuff this morning. Hey, we did a show last night, talked about the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump, which happened yesterday. Almost exactly 2 months later, there's a second assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And, well, it dovetails nicely into something I want to talk about anyway. And so, what got me thinking about this again this morning, I was watching a stream with Viva and Barnes. And Robert Barnes is a brilliant lawyer, brilliant attorney, and just a fantastic law scholar. And they were talking about election interference cases and some of the lies that go on there. So this morning I want to talk about defamation, and I'm going to present what I believe to be a somewhat novel case, at least as it's being presented to the public in this format. A case for the use of defamation and lawfare with respect to what's going on in our country today. So we'll get down that rabbit hole good and deep. But let me first start with basically what kind of got me thinking about this. Watching Robert Barnes describe the cases against, or I'm sorry, Robert Barnes was talking about the oft repeated lie that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election and all of the cases, all of the lawsuits that he filed. And part of that lie goes something like this. Well, Trump filed 60 different lawsuits on the election interference thing, and he lost all of them. There's no evidence. No, bullshit, false. That is incorrect. Trump was only a party to three of those suits, right? Filed three. All three were rejected on standing, which is to say that none of the evidence collected and presented was ever adjudicated. So, to be very clear, it's important to understand this. Anytime a person, especially a person who is a public figure, a politician, a journalist, etc., says that Donald Trump lost 60 cases because there's no evidence, they don't even have to get to the lie there is no evidence. The mere statement Donald Trump lost 60 cases on the election interference claim is defamation. It is a lie. It is an intentional lie, which has done clear, demonstrable damage to Donald Trump's character and the perception of his character to his reputation. And when I say clear and demonstrable damage, as a result of the lawfare that has come out of the clear and demonstrable damage caused by that particular line of defamation, Donald Trump has lost a fortune in New York real estate deals because of that clearly illegitimate case. He has been fined. I think he's up to several $billion in fines at this point between the Eugene Carroll hoax, the New York fraud hoax, the uh, the 1100 or the 11,000 votes, the Georgia voter interference hoax. And I say this advisedly. I do. I want to be very clear on this. I am more than happy to meet you in court. And that's going to be the thrust of this whole point that I'm about to make. So Barnes specifically mentioned this lawyer, Mark Elias. Mark Elias is a very famous, high-profile white shoe attorney who does work for the Democrats politically. If I remember correctly, Elias was at Perkins Coie as part of the Clinton team. But I think that's correct. But anyway, Barnes mentioned Elias, and Elias is a famously active political activist, kind of a hatchet man for the Democrats. Now, Barnes went on to say, he made this statement: Mark Elias is a criminal money launderer for the Clinton campaign. TPS report asks, not discussing the assassination attempt. So Alex, we did a show last night. We covered the assassination attempt last night, but this leads into that. So, back to the material damage that has been caused to Donald Trump as a result of their rhetoric. And I want to be clear about this. The Democrats have told us over and over again that January 6th happened because of Donald Trump's rhetoric. Okay. Gotcha. Cool. Gotcha. If that is the case, and if it is the case that Donald Trump bears any legal responsibility or culpability for anything that happened on January 6th as related to his particular rhetoric, then there is not one single Democrat who is currently holding an elected office who does not belong in jail by that logic. They are each and every one without exception. And we have the receipts. We have them on video saying it. We have their tweets. We have their social media posts. Every one of them is responsible for the Summer of Love riots, the BLM riots, and both of the two separate attempts to assassinate Donald Trump by their supporters. They're responsible for the baseball shooting, right? It's not complicated. Now keep in mind, I am not saying categorically that all of the politicians are responsible for the actions of people, even if it's clear that the result is directly correlated to their specific rhetoric. Whether or not I believe that to be true is separate from the claim that I'm making. The specific claim I'm making is that if it is true that Donald Trump's rhetoric in any way contributed to January 6th and he bears criminal culpability for that, then it must also be true of every Democrat that is currently holding an elected office who has ever spoken in support of BLM or causing harm to Donald Trump. A good example, I believe it was on the Ellen show that, actually, I may have that video clip on my Twitter feed. I believe it was on Ellen that Kamala Harris was asked a question, something to the effect of, if you had to be in an elevator with a list of 3 people. Oh yeah, here it is. So I don't have to try and remember.
Does one of us have to come out alive?
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
Oh, that's hilarious. I'm Vice President Kamala Harris. I don't want to cause
If you had to be
bodily
stuck in
harm,
an
injury,
elevator
and
with
death
either President Trump, Mike
to my
Pence, or
political
Jeff
opponent.
Sessions, who would?
But the violent rhetoric belongs somehow to the right. Well, that's simply false. So, let's talk about the defamation thing. Mark Elias will not. This is a prediction, and you can take this one to the bank. If they put up odds on Predict It, go ahead go ahead and take this as my free pick, right? Mark Elias will not pursue a claim of defamation against Robert Barnes over Robert Barnes' claim that Mark Elias is a criminal money launderer for the Clintons. Why? Because truth is always a defense. The truth is always a defense to defamation. If Elias files suit, Barnes gets to take his ass into discovery, gets to explore the allegation, present evidence, and prove the truth of the claim. So that got me thinking this morning, right? Hold on, I gotta drop a ban hammer on some schmuck from Twitch that's trying to sell me viewers. No. Okay. I'm a pseudo public figure because I do this show every morning. I mean, I say pseudo public figure because I've only got a few thousand subscribers across the several platforms. This is not a huge show, right? I know where I'm at in the pecking order. But I say pseudo public figure because one could make the argument that because I do this show, you know, take you back to the Nick Sandmann case. There were questions of his status as a public figure for the purposes of determining the standard of proof on the on defamation claims, right? And if you're a public figure and someone makes a claim of defamation, the standard of proof is very high. You have to prove intentional malice. You can't just prove the statement was wrong. You have to prove that the statement was made with the intent of essentially dishonestly misrepresenting the public figure with the explicit malicious intent of causing the harm that was expected to result from that particular day. So, we got a lot of public figures in this country that are absolute trash. I want to see more high-profile figures make outlandish but true claims. A good example: they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets. That's an interesting and extraordinary claim, for which there is, in fact, evidence. There are witness testimony, et cetera, et cetera. Defamation is not itself necessarily a bad thing. If I go to a restaurant and I have a bad experience, and I tell you guys I had a bad experience at this restaurant, the service was awful, the food sucked, the prices were too. Those may be a mere opinion, but a thing being opinion does not make it untrue. Right? If I didn't get a glass of water for the first half an hour I was sitting in this restaurant, y'all, that's something I might tell you about. And then don't go. Now the statement has had an effect. That effect is deleterious on the restaurant, right? Fair enough. But that the statement is defamatory and has that deleterious effect is not by itself criminal. If the statement were true, that's different. Here's what I want to see. I want to see our politicians call each other names in a much more direct and explicit and specific ways. I want to hear very specific and explicit accusations of wrongdoing where they're true. I think today we live in a country that is so litigious that free speech is being cooled by the fear that someone will come after you. And I think this bleeds further down than just the level of a litigious nation that is hesitant to make explicit statements about specific claims related to public figures. You cannot insult someone on YouTube in theory, right? And I mean, this show, I'm going to make some claims on this show, I'm sure, but if they wanted to, YouTube can find some vagary in their incredibly penumbrous use terms of service that says, hey, this show can't be on YouTube. Okay, cool. Now, oh wait, do I don't get a rebuttal? I'm not allowed to say no. Whoa. I said Kamala Harris is an irrepentant whore. Right? Now, if I'm to be subjected to any sort of a consequence for making that statement, then I should absolutely have the opportunity to explore the evidence of that claim. Now, YouTube is not going to throw me off of YouTube for saying that Kamala Harris is obviously an irrepentant whore, because the evidence is so prolifically available that it would be an absolute fool's errand to argue the statement. Oh, I mean, it's not hard to find those videos. So I would love to see more public figures making outrageous claims. Let's talk a little bit about outrageous claims. I want to look at one in particular. It is essentially the origin of negative campaigning. The Adams versus Jefferson campaign, right? Negative campaigning in the United States can be traced back to John Adams and Thomas Jefferson back in 1776. The dynamic duo combined powers to help claim America's independence, and they had nothing but love and respect for one another. But by 1800, party politics had so distanced the pair that for the first and last time in U.S. history, a president found himself running against his vice president. Jefferson's camp accused President Adams of having, I love this sentence, within the sphere of political rhetoric, of having a hideous hermaphroditical character. So often when you hear this story recounted in political classes, in civics classes, etc., they kind of gloss over it. They say, you think politics is ugly today? Thomas Jefferson accused John Adams of being a hermaphrodite. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. The statement is important. This is a very interesting statement. A hideous hermaphroditical character, which has neither the force and firmness of a man, nor the gentleness and sensibility of a woman. Right? So, he didn't actually say that Adams was a hermaphrodite. They didn't actually make a fact claim about a biological condition of John Adams. What they did is that they said that in his character, in the way that he conducts himself, he neither resembles a strong and effective man, nor a gentle and compassionate woman. He has none of the good characteristics of either of the sexes. And because there are only two sexes, then all of the positive characteristics may be divided between the pair of them. Ergo, in the absence of the positive characteristics of the individual genders, one can have not but bad characteristics. So, in a legal sense, this is an opinion claim and not a fact claim. Right? Oh, Papa Polo, okay. I'll come back to that maybe. But that was the beginning of it. Now, we saw a presidential debate just recently. And on that debate stage, we saw Donald Trump get fact-checked over and over and over again. And Kamala Harris did not. But she made some very specific claims. And the thing about these claims, they were specific fact claims. For example, she said that Donald Trump of Charlottesville said there were very fine people on both sides, that Nazis are very fine people. That is a lie. We know that's a lie. The evidence exists. We've relitigated that evidence an innumerable number of times over the last 4 years. It has been asked and answered. 4 years, 6, 7 years. Because it hasn't just been through the course of this current failed administration. We've been having to argue about that nonsense hoax all through Trump's original administration. So it's been many years now. She repeated the lie about the court cases, most of which have been thrown out, and the ones like the E. Jean Carroll case, clearly fallacious, obviously a sham. It wasn't even within the scope of the law for the case to be brought to begin with. They had to change the law and make a special exception to even bring the case. And then they keep talking about it like he's been convicted of the crime of rape. But the fact is, he lost a claim on spurious and ridiculous grounds in a civil matter, where a jury even went so far as to say, I shit you not, if you guys aren't tracking this, the E. Jean Carroll case, the one that they're referencing when they keep saying, you'll hear a lot of people say he's a convicted rapist. And then you'll hear the slightly cleverer midwits say, he was found liable for sexual harassment, sexual assault. He was fined by a jury in a civil matter over a defamation claim that resulted after it was found that the rape could not be proved, that no evidence supported it. And he went on after a jury said that he did not rape E. Jean Carroll. He posted on Twitter and said, I was exonerated. I didn't do anything, just like I always said. I never did it. I didn't even know the woman. And then based on that tweet, she sued him for defamation. So it is a dangerous game to play. And yeah, like Larry Neville says, they censored people like us to poison people like them. Correct. And so it is also my argument in this context that for guys like me, if I'm thrown off of YouTube, if I'm thrown off of a social media channel for making a claim, I'm all for a private platform, and you make whatever rules you want, Section 203, you're a platform, not a publisher. Oh, there you go. You're a platform, not a publisher. That's the 203 argument. If YouTube determines that speech I make is contrary to their terms of service and removes me, then they have made an editorial decision. If a platform removes anyone at all, for anything they say, whether I agree with it or not, then they are a publisher because they've made an editorial decision. And they do not enjoy the Section 203 protections. And you should absolutely be able to sue and make them prove in court that the statement was what they say the statement was. Either it was a false statement or the statement was somehow criminal in nature. Or even just that it, I mean, okay, they may have to prove, the thing that they may have to prove is, oh no, Your Honor, these are the terms of service. Lowry signed the terms of service by setting up a channel. Ergo, we have the right to eject him. Okay. Cool. Let's have those cases. Let's file those cases. Let's file all of those cases. I wonder how many YouTubers it will take to simply bankrupt Google as the legal ramification for unfairly putting their thumb on the scale. And I'll take that just a step further. When the censorship does occur, the First Amendment may, and this is theory. The First Amendment may not protect you against the private publisher. Assuming that the government isn't directly involved in telling them who they should be censoring, which we know, right? We got it. Twitter files, YouTube files, Facebook files. We know. We got Zuckerberg's confession letter. We've got all of it, right? There's plenty of evidence now. We know that the government was directly involved in the censorship that has been conducted and is still being conducted today by all of these platforms. And so that makes the platforms and the government officials therewith connected criminals under Section 242. And I would go so far as to argue that given the number of deaths in Israel and the Ukraine, which are directly the result and responsibility of the consequences of that stolen election, that Section 242 pretty clearly says that we need some executions as a result of the deaths caused by the illegal suppression of civil liberties under the color of law. But forget the First Amendment for a second. In what way can a reasonable judge articulate that the censorship is not absolutely election interference? Right? Zuckerberg said straight up, we censored the Hunter Biden laptop story because the government told us to do it. He specifically said the Biden administration told us to do it. That's insane. Now, I covered this when it happened, and there were a lot of people on the various platforms saying, lock him up, hang him for treason, et cetera, et cetera. And I pointed out, okay, be fair, right? I would love to see Zuckerberg suffer some serious consequences for what he did. Yes, but let's be fair. What Zuckerberg did is he caved. So he's a coward. But he was extorted into doing the bad thing. The people we really need to be going after, the people that we really need to see in front of a judge, in front of a jury, and at the gallows, are the criminals that actually broke the law. Evidence, prosecution, legitimate trial, legitimate conviction, and the legitimate and correct enforcement of the law as it is written. And when we say that, understand that an important element of the crime is the mens rea. Right? Ignorance of the law is never a defense. But let me tell you something. Evidence of knowledge of the law is absolutely inculpatory. You see, Kamala Harris is a lawyer. She 100% knows that what her campaign has done vis-a-vis the defamation, vis-a-vis the pushing censorship on social media platforms, et cetera, that these are explicit crimes. And we're not talking about things where, oh, you know what, that seems really bad if there's not already a law about it. No, there's already a law about it. U.S. Code Section 18, Section 242, defamation of civil liberties under color of law. Lock the bitch up. Not complicated. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and go back to Papa Pollock real quick. He said he went to see the Am I Racist movie last night and had to leave midway because someone was getting the got 9,000 in the back. Okay, gotcha. So, minus 1 out of 10 viewing experience, 7 out of 10 for the movie. I'm going to see this. I'm going to go see Am I Racist tomorrow. I'm making a trip to meet Cameron for the movie, and maybe he and I will record a message or something and throw it up as like a YouTube short. But I'm going to go hang out with Cameron tomorrow. We're going to go see the movie. And so Wednesday, I'll be talking about Am I Racist Wednesday morning. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it right there. Thanks for showing up today, you guys. Appreciate you. All of you guys that watched last night, the show was actually pretty big last night. Great watch viewership, and we appreciate having you here. So yeah, thanks for watching last night. Thanks for watching this morning. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.